Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to the homestead. This morning, it's a Saturday morning. It's beautiful. The sun's starting to come up. Chris has been in the garden picking green beans for me this morning because we are going to can some green beans. I have a sink full sitting here. I'm fixing to snap these and can them up. I also have my dehydrator's going to be running today and probably a few more days. I'm trying something new, some cucumber chips. So I sliced them and I salted them, let them sit for a few hours in a strainer over a bowl and let some of that water come out of them. I didn't rinse them. I left the salt on, hoping that would give them some extra flavor. I just did one sheet, was like 2 cucumbers. I have about 15, 20 cucumbers sitting on my counter right now. So if we like them, we're going to be doing a lot of them. I've already made refrigerator pickles. I still have a jar of those. It's just the two of us, so we don't eat those really quick. I really liked them. So Chris took a jar to work, and I have a jar here at the house I've been eating on. But when you have so many cucumbers, you can only do so much. We've already made our cucumber salad. We've already made refrigerator pickles. Y'all have been giving them away like zucchinis. Take them to the food pantry. Just whatever I can do with them. And I still have 15 or 20 because I'm getting 4 or 5 a day. My cucumbers are so prolific right now. So we're going to try cucumber chips in the dehydrator. See how it goes because I've never tried them. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Also in my dehydrator today, I am putting in some purslane. So I had a couple purslane plants pop up in one of my raised beds. I let them go so that I could harvest them and have them in my storage. This is what they look like, all ready to go. We're also going to try to pickle some of these. I have a lot. And so these are high in like omega fatty 3 acids and I don't know, lots of different vitamins and stuff that are good for you. And it just pops up in my garden. And so this is the first year I've harvested any. So this is a new experience for us too. Every year I try to do one new foraged or herb item. Last year I did purple dead nettle and I have jars of that. So this year I'm going to dry some purslane. I have 2 trays. I'm fixing to add a 3rd into my dehydrator. And then we're going to run it on a herb setting, even though the cucumbers are in there. So it's going to take the cucumbers even longer. But I don't want to overheat my herbs. So we're going to do it on an herb setting in the dehydrator. And then, which is like, I think 95 to 100 degrees. And then when this is dry, then I'll bump up the heat for the chips. But I'm going to be running it anyway. So whether the cucumbers take a little longer or not, that's fine. I'll probably add stuff in while the cucumbers are still going, as long as I can run my dehydrator, which I have to wait till the sun is up and we're finally getting some sun on the regular. I can run it, so we're going to run it. Now I probably will run it for a few days, maybe a week, trying to just get everything dehydrated that I want dehydrated while the sun's shining. So that's what's going on the homestead. Canning, dehydrating, preserving our food, our harvest. I have a little bunch of tomatoes sitting right here in front of me. I haven't decided what to do with them. I might make a little fresh salsa today if I have time. We'll see. I don't know. Chris doesn't eat fresh tomatoes, and there's more here than I can eat. So I may throw them in the freezer. That's the other thing I'll do with my tomatoes is to preserve them. I will make a little X in their little bottom part, clean off the top, make sure they're washed and dry. Make sure they're dry before I throw them in the freezer because then they get kind of really mushy. Put a little X in the bottom of them, throw them in the freezer. Then when I'm ready, even next fall, like a lot of times I don't do my tomatoes until I've done all my other preserving because these can stay in the freezer. In fact, I have a bag I found the other day in my freezer from last year. So I've already started. Then when I'm ready to can my tomatoes, I can put take the bags out of the freezer and I can slide the skins right off. When they defrost, you can slide the skin right off. And it's really kind of handy because then you don't have to do any blanching or anything like that. So it just makes it a little easier. And our tomatoes are doing pretty well. We do have some worms that we're taking care of. Not hornworms, just little bug worms. But so far so good. The last few years have not been good. So, alright. So that's what we're doing on the homestead today. I'm going to take you with me while I go to the dehydrator in a minute. Show you what that looks like. And show you what snapping green beans looks like, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what else we can think to add to this quick little video. Can y'all hear my guineas in the background? Some people say they're noisy. They are noisy, but you get used to it, and I like it. And they are a good alarm system. Like, even if I'm down feeding or something, and I'm not in the house, and Chris drives up at night from work, sometimes they'll go off because he drove up in the driveway. It's like they're telling me, you know, Papa's home, Papa's home. So, I don't mind them. Actually, I think we're going to increase our guinea crew as we decrease our egg-laying crew. So, all right. So, hang on. We're going to see what else is going on today. So, this is how I'm doing my purslane. My dehydrator comes with these little sheets on it. All of them come with some kind of sheet. But I don't want to have little pieces fall through. So I use parchment. And I just cut it to size. There is little sheets you can buy to do fruit leathers and stuff like that. That would work too. This just keeps the smaller ones from falling through. And I'm going to do 3 sheets of this. The rest of this I'm going to put some in the freezer, and I'm going to save some for us for dinner tonight to put in a salad. So off to the dehydrator we go. Okay, so here's our dehydrator. I'm just going to slide these in. And there we go. So I've got 3. You can see the parchment at the very bottom. I have the cucumbers laid out and ready to go. All right. I'm going to shut it off. I have an extra one. I have an extra tray because I took the very top one out so that I could fit that first row of parslane in. And we're going to set it, move little birdies. So here it says herbs, 95. That's what I'm going to set it to. The very first notch on my dehydrator, 95. And there it goes. This is an Excalibur, and 9 trays. We've had this probably 20 years. And it is set up outside, right outside my door, because when they dry, it takes the moisture out and it puts moisture back into the air, and it was adding too much moisture into our house, and it was keeping our house warm. We learned that, we figured that out last year. So this year, so since then, last year and this year, we have set it up on this little table right outside the door, handy dandy. And somebody is keeping watch over everything today. He barely leaves my side, which is good. I'm happy to have him. Alright guys, so that's where we are right now. That's what we're doing. We're preserving food, staying on top of food preservation, the garden, the yard, everything that's going on. Alright, so when I get done snapping beans and stuff, I might jump back on here and add something. I don't know yet. I'm just chattering. Alright guys, I'm fixing to snap my beans and get them ready to go in jars. I have some in the fridge that I did the other day. Let me show you what I got going on here. So I've got them in the sink. They've been sitting here about 10-15 minutes. I like to wash them really good. And then I just snap them while they're in the water, and I leave the ends in the water. And that way, at the end, I can just drain the water, take all the ends and feed them to my chickens. Or we throw them in the compost. Lately, the chickens have been eating a lot of beans. They love, if I have some that are yucky, Chris will take them down and he'll take them and open them, and they'll eat the beans out of the inside. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to snap these. You know, you hear stories all the time, memories, people talking about snapping beans with their granny or their grandmother or whatever, you know, on the front porch swinging. And I love that idea. My grandkids will be here next week, so maybe we'll do that. Just to have that fun memory. But I'm just going to snap them, then I'll lay them out and let them dry just a little bit. And while I set up my canner and get all that set up, and I've already got my canner sitting right here, so it's not much more to do. Get everything ready, get it in jars. I'm doing cut beans today, which means that so when I'm snapping, in case you don't know, I snap each end off. Okay, we're going to snap each end off, so it looks like that. Look, a little smiley face. And then, because I know I'm going to use what basically is called cut green beans, I'm not going to leave them full length. I'll snap them in half, and then they're ready to go in the canner, in the jar. It's easier to put these in a jar. I use a regular mouth jar when I do cut beans, and I use a wide mouth jar when I do regular beans, because then I'm standing them up inside there if I'm doing dilly beans or if I'm canning long beans for some reason. So that's what I do. I just snap the ends, snap them in half. I have a bowl right here I'm going to put them in, and then I'm going to let them dry a little bit just while I'm setting everything up, and then we'll put them in jars and put them in a canner. So it's that simple. Can them for 20 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. That's in my canner. Your canner may be different, so check your manual on your canner. And I don't put salt in mine. We try to eat as little salt as possible, just for our good health, and the salt we do eat is mineral salt, sea salt. So I don't put that in with my stuff. You can if you want to. It's totally just a personal choice. I want you to do what you're comfortable with, what you've done. Don't change because of my suggestion or my way, because canning is a very personal thing, and how you're going to use your food when it's canned is a very personal thing. When I teach canning classes, I talk about how in my house this is called fast food. Anything that has been home canned is considered fast food, whether it's ground meat, carrots, beans, peas, black beans. I can a lot of black beans because we eat a lot of black beans. Anything like that. It's fast food, and I can have it whenever I want it. It's right here in my kitchen, and I don't have to go to the grocery store for it. I know how it was grown. I know there's no pesticides or anything on that like that on here. They taste fabulous. Y'all, I eat raw stuff out of the garden all the time. Okra is my #1 thing to eat raw. #1 favorite thing to eat raw in the garden. Freshly picked okra. If you're an okra fan and you haven't tried it, try it. It's fabulous. But even green beans are great raw. They're very crunchy. Okay, so I'm going to sit here and snap these beans and get on with the rest of my processing. Now sometimes you'll have ones that have damage like this. I just snap that part off. The rest of it looks good. I'll save it. We accidentally got pole bean seeds in with our bush bean seeds, so some of the beans look a little different. They tend to be a little more flat. If I go to snap them and they're wonky or they're very soft, I'll feed those to the chicken. And most of these are the pole bean ones because they're just not, they're not on poles, so they're not doing well. Alright guys, so let's continue talking about the abundance and what we do with it when it is abundant. Today, Chris picked a large amount of cucamelons. Have y'all ever seen a cucamelon? Hang on. So these are cucamelons. They are like little mini round cucumbers. They're actually called Mexican sour gherkins, I think is the word for them. Everybody calls them cucamelons. And so they're really fun. I'm going to pickle some of these. We eat these fresh in the garden all the time, but we have a lot. We can't eat them all today. So I'm going to pickle some. So that's what I'm doing here. I have dill, onion, and crushed garlic in here. And I'm just going to put some brine on it. Today I'm just, because this is the only thing I'm pickling, I'm going to do half a cup of vinegar and half a cup of water and a little bit of sugar. Pour it on here, put a lid on it, put it in the fridge when it cools off a little bit, so that I'm not putting something super hot in my fridge. This is how I do my refrigerator pickles as well. Then I'll throw it in the fridge and get it ready to go. Let it sit 3 or 4 days before we eat these, but I'm sure these won't last long because our refrigerator pickles didn't last long either. Alright, so harvesting and preserving the abundance. The other thing I'm doing today is I am boiling up some guinea eggs. These are Chris's favorite. He loves the guinea eggs. So I'm boiling up some guinea eggs to put in the pickle brine that I already had made in the fridge. We ate the pickles, but I saved the brine. So I'm going to throw some guinea eggs in there and see how that tastes. You know, experimenting. That's the fun part of preserving food. You can experiment with whatever you like to do. Do with your own thing. Alright, so I'm just making a little batch of brine here. So this is a half a cup of water, a half a cup of vinegar, and a little bit of sugar, because I like a little sugar in my brine. Not a whole lot, but just enough to kind of take that really strong vinegar sting out of it. So now it's boiling, and I'm going to let it boil for just a second or two. Make sure it's all good and ready to go. The sugar I know is already dissolved because I dissolved that in when I put the sugar in. I dissolved it all in there. We're going to let it boil. I'm going to turn it off. Now I'm going to pour it into my jar. Okay, so my jar's ready to go. I've got my onion, my garlic, my dill, and my cucamelons. Now I'm just going to pour this brine right over all of that. That was perfect. So my jar wasn't crammed full of cucamelons. I knew there would be some space, which is fine, but I was kind of guessing on a measurement. So perfect. Half a cup of water, half a cup of vinegar, and about a tablespoon of sugar, and it should be good to go. So now I'm just going to put my lid on. Not real tight because I want this to cool a little bit, so I want the heat to be able to come out of it, but I don't want to leave it open either. And then I'm going to let this cool until I feel comfortable putting it in a cold fridge. I don't like to put hot jars with hot water in a cold fridge. Chances are it's going to crack. So I'm just going to let it sit on the counter here, come to basically room temperature, maybe not that cooled off. Put it in the fridge, wait 3 or 4 days, and then we'll be snacking on these babies. And then these are the guinea eggs. So when we cook our guinea eggs, these are Chris's favorite, by the way. Ooh. I'll tell you about the jar in a minute. When I cook the guinea eggs, I bring the water to a boil, put the eggs into the boiling water, boil them for 7 minutes, turn it off, cover with a lid, let them sit for 5 minutes, then take them out, and I put them in a cold water bath. So this is just a little bit of cold water. It doesn't take long for them to cool off. Like, I can pick it up. I mean, it's warm, but it won't take a few minutes. I put the jar in here because if I don't, they all go down in the middle and they sit on top of each other and they don't cool off as fast. So you can tell my guineas are laying all kinds of eggs. This one's almost white. This one's all kinds of speckled. That's not dirt. That's just the guinea egg. They're getting close to the end of their laying season, so I'm guessing that's why. This one's kind of cool looking too. Chris loves guinea eggs better than any other eggs, so we love our guinea eggs when we can collect them, because sometimes the guineas lay out in the yard because they free range and the dogs eat them. So, but that's all right. It's good protein for the dogs. So that's how we boil our guinea eggs. Then I'm going to put these in a brine from my refrigerator pickles, and it'll be yummy. So another way we preserve our abundance is sometimes I cook larger portions. It's just the two of us. I really don't need to do that. But sometimes I like to do that. Or I just make something and it ends up being a larger portion than we anticipated. So I freeze it. Now this is rabbit stew that I made September of last year. And it's been in the freezer. And today we took it out. We're going to have it with some garlic bread tonight for dinner. So we go to church tonight, come home, throw this in a pot, warm it up. Fast food, y'all, fast food. The nice thing about this is it doesn't take up as much space in the freezer as you might think. Now, a couple tips when you're freezing anything. These were leftovers. I did not fill it to the top. I left it some headspace because things will expand. And I don't want it to get too solid, too hard, and crack the jar. The other thing is you want to freeze in jars. If you're freezing in jars, you want to freeze in jars that don't have a shoulder. So like, I really don't have a good example sitting right here. Wide mouth jars do not have much of a shoulder. A regular mouth jar has more of a shoulder right here. That's what we call this edge right here, right underneath the rim. So in the freezer, you want ones that have very little shoulder, okay? So dinner tonight, fast food. I don't have to come home and cook. All right, so I boiled my guinea eggs. You can see them right here. You can see some of them didn't peel too well. I won't be using all of these. This is my pickle brine, my refrigerator pickle brine from the other day. So I've not done this before, but we're going to see how many eggs we can get down in there. I will tell you with this recipe that I actually got from Jessica Sowers at Roots and Refuge. She did a really good video on refrigerator pickles a few years ago. And other than the cucumber itself, I love to eat the onions out of here. They're really good. So I got 5 eggs. That I think will be just fine. So they're down in there. I'm going to cover them up, put them back in the fridge. Give it, again, about 3 days for each of these. And we'll try them in. Okay guys, so here's some of the product of our work today. We did 6 pints of green beans. We did the eggs in the guinea eggs that went in the previous brine. We brined our cucamelons, pickled those. So Chris picked these green beans first thing this morning when it was nice and cool. We got them snapped in the jars, and now they're on the counter cooling off. Y'all can see the bubbles going in there. Isn't that great? I love to see the bubbles. And all but one have popped so far. You can also see some of the other produce Chris picked today. There's some cucumbers. There's a cucumber, some not hot jalapenos, some okra, and some more cucamelons. So then we also started the dehydrator today with the purslane and the cucumber chips. Not bad for being up about 4 hours. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Thanks for coming by the homestead. We'll see y'all later. Bye.